These are very important statements. We often need to know number of atoms in a sample of a given mass. I mean, why do we need to know? Why do we need to know the number of atoms in a given sample of mass? Remember, it is these little atoms that react with atoms of another element. So, if we know how many atoms of A are present and how many atoms of P are present, then we will know an idea about quantity of product that we are getting, or quantity of catalyst that you must use, or the kind of conditions that you must use. So it's very important, in a given sample you need to know how many atoms are present. It's very easy to say, oh, for a reaction we need to know how many elements are present. But how can you count? Atoms and molecules are so small, you cannot count, right? When somebody counts large number of objects, they count in terms of dozens. So they'll say dozen eggs or 2 dozen eggs. When they say dozen eggs, that means they're saying 12 eggs, right? So for chemists, we don't use dozen, because dozen is very small. Atoms and molecules are so small. If you take dozen atoms and make and run a reaction with it, we really are not going to get a lot, because atoms and molecules are so small. So we use large numbers. So instead of dozens, we use Avogadro's number. What is Avogadro's number? 6.02214 times 10 raised to 23. Roughly we say 6.022. You don't have to use 6.02214, but we can say 6.023 times 10 raised to 23. This is the number that we're going to use. Okay, so 1 mole. Okay, instead of saying 6.023 times 10 raised to 23 all the time, we will use the word mole. So instead of saying 6.023 times 10 raised to 23 sodium atoms, we will say 1 mole of sodium atoms. So now one thing you have to understand about mole is that it specifies Avogadro's number of anything. So if I say 1 mole of books, then it is 6.023 times 10 raised to 23 books. 1 mole of ants means 6.023 times 10 raised to 23 ants, right? So 1 mole of anything is 6.023 times 10 raised to 23 of that thing. It could be sodium atoms, potassium atoms, sodium positive ions, chloride ions, anything.